Parable of the Talents. Let's take a look at a couple of different things in simplistic form as it pertains to our everyday life. We've all heard this story if we've been around Christian land for very long. We've heard the story about the parable of the talents and what the kingdom is like, another snapshot of what the kingdom is supposed to look like in our everyday experience. And depending upon the interpretation of the parable of the talents will depend on where you may be possibly at right now and what you're doing. And that can come in many different forms by way of interpretation, depending on what the teacher or the person that's expounding on it has experienced in life, what their life story is, and what their educational experience has been. So, I want to just kind of come at this from a childlike form and read it for face value and dig a couple of things out, what I believe the Lord was really trying to convey to us and still is today. When you look at any good father, what do they want for their child? They want the very best. They want their child to succeed beyond their wildest dreams. A good father will come alongside their child and recognize what those talents, gifts, and abilities are at a very young age. If they're bent towards a certain type of, and they seem to be good at something, whether it's writing, art, money at a young age, handling money, finances, business-minded, they have a certain talent or gift for sports or whatever it may be. You just seem to look into their lives while they're growing up and watch them as they develop and say, wow, they're really good at that. Oh, yeah, that comes with such ease to little Johnny or little Susie. They're so brilliant at musical instruments. Man, they picked up 2 or 3 by the age of 12. I just can't believe it. And on and on and on. And so the father nurtures. And I'm talking about mothers too, okay, when I say the father in relation to God, so the parents. But I'm just going to use the dad as an analogy here. The dad looks into their lives and says, okay, I need to do everything I can to help cultivate and empower and undergird them so that they can run far beyond anything I could have ever imagined or hoped. That's the desire. That's the dream. That is the excitement a father gets or a mother gets when they see their child grow up into something that burns within them by way of doing what they love, by what they're passionate about. Well, where did we get that from? We got that from our Father in heaven and our relationship with Him, the inward knowing. It's always been there. Whether we've walked with Him or not, there's an inward knowing and an understanding that, wait a minute, I want the best for this person. As messed up as we've been in our own individual lives, deep down, we still want the best for someone we care about, don't we? And in relation to this story, the parable of the talents, here's a landowner. He's a master with his servants, is what the terminology they used, okay, a master and their servants, but really it was a working family scenario, okay? So you've got a landowner that went away on a long trip and he entrusted those that he was in relationship with money, talents in this case, all right? And in the right in the very beginning, he comes out of the gate in the story and says, each according to their own ability. It's so important to see this because many times we blow over it because we're only concerned with the guy that buries his talent in the ground and then he gets rebuked. It's, why don't we look at the other things within the stories? Because our society is so bent on moving towards the negative and trying to correct some sin in our life in order to not be like the guy that buried his money. But it's important to see the beautiful elements, the celebratory elements in this, and the real meaning of what Christ was trying to convey. It still is today. Is there's a beautiful illustration of the kingdom unfolding here. Now, we know the kingdom of God is righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Spirit. So, in other words, that is right standing. We've been made right with Christ by what he did on the cross 2,000 years ago by saying yes to him. Peace, joy, and rest, all intertwined because it's finished. The work is finished. So we're elated in and through our relationship with the Spirit of God living on the inside of us. So that's the aspect of the kingdom wrapped up in a nutshell in our everyday life. Now, operating in that, living that as a lifestyle is something different for many of us. We struggle through our insecurities and our strongholds, the negativity of the world around us, and the list goes on. But it's amazing to me to look at this landowner's story with his servants, and the only thing he's really seemingly focused on when he takes off for a long journey and trusting the servants is their ability to get the job done. Not focused on the sin, he's not focused on their shortcomings or their mistakes. He's focused solely on the ability to do the job because he knows they can do it. And each according to the way they want to do it. To their own ability. He doesn't tell them, as far as we know, he doesn't come and say, look, Joe, what I want you to do is go over there and work in the nursery and get your $5 a week, put it in the offering, and I'll give you a return upon my return. I know you don't like kids, Joe, but this is what I want you to do. Okay? You good with that? What's Joe going to do? How's Joe going to act? Joe's going to say, well, man, I have so many talents and abilities that are not lined up with the nursery here. What about those? I can't stand being around kids, and I don't have a flow. I don't have. It's just work, sweat, and toil to me every time I'm around a child. So what's this all about? Okay, God, I guess I'll suffer for Jesus and just kind of do what you tell me to do and try to be happy doing it. Well, that's what religion tells us to do, doesn't it? Does that sound familiar? Religion says just that. Suck it up. Do it all in the name of suffering. And by doing so, your character is going to be developed. And you're going to move into your dream 20, 30, 40 years from now. Maybe when you get to retirement age, you'll be able to quit your job you hate and move into something you love and enjoy. No, that's not the way of the kingdom. That's not the way of our Father's heart. Remember, going back to the good dad with his child, he's not going to take his child that wants to be an artist, that's great at being an artist, that draws paintings that are out of this world at a young age and says, okay, son, you're going to do construction work because you need to learn a thing or two about character. You need to learn how to suck it up, pop some nails through your fingers, get some bruises and some scrapes, and be a real man there, boy. And then someday, one day, when you get married and have 15 kids, you can pick up your paintbrush and do it when you're out of this house and you retire. Do that as a hobby, son, and get to the real man's work of doing construction work. Think about the child again, okay? Think about the child. Is that child going to become embittered or resentful towards his dad? Maybe. Possibly. Or he may just go, okay, Dad, while I'm under your roof, that's fine if that's what you want, but when I turn 18, I'm getting a paintbrush and I'm kicking the work boots off and throwing them at Goodwill and never seeing them again. You can have your construction work after I leave the house. Think about it. That's real life. That's real life stuff. Now, we know that most of us don't have an attitude like that towards God, do we? Hello. These are the things that really hit home with us. And in the parable of the talents, I love the fact that God, this is an illustration of Jesus going away. And on his return, he says, look, what did you do with the gift I gave you? What did you do with the talents and the abilities? You are Christ-like. You are a mini G. And you're just like me. You're made in my image. And you're a co-creator with me. What did you do? I want to hear about your creativity. I'm excited to hear about the creative juices that you had flowing to bring an ROI on my investment. A big fat return on what I sent you to do. And the return I'm looking for is souls. The return I'm looking for are people, not money. I own the cattle on 1,000 hills and all the diamond mines. I don't need that. What I'm looking for is relationship. How did you show others who I am and the example I am to the world and to people all around you? How did you display that by way of your gifting? No, I didn't call you to go and feed the poor and clothe the naked. I called you to be a businessman or a businesswoman. I called you in to be a spokesman with me, or a writer, an author, an artist. I didn't call you just to go down and feed people under the bridge. Yes, I called this person over here to do that, but not you. So what did you do with the gift? What did you do with the singing gift? What did you do with the writing gift? What did you do with the business gift? What did you do with the teaching gift, the worship gift? What did you do with the artist gift that I gave you? And so the landowner comes back, he gives him the 5, the 2, and the 1. We know what happens to the guy with the 1. He buries it for safekeeping because he had a different view, a different perspective, a different outlook on life and what his master was really like. He had an interpretation of his master that was different than the other servants. The other servants entered into the joy, celebrated, and that's exactly what the landowner said when he came back to give an account. They doubled his money, and he said, enter into the celebration with me. So let's celebrate. Let's throw a party. Let's have a blast. Let's do this together. But what did he tell the one that buried the money? He rebuked him and said, you should have at least gave me something in return rather than just the money I gave you. Just the talent, just the gift I gave you. Why are you standing here when you had all of this in front of you? And you had so much more I could have given you. But you made excuse after excuse after excuse of your children running around, behaving badly. You've got 2 jobs, no money. You don't have any time. You're worn out. All these excuses as to why you couldn't dig down and find out what it is that really made you come alive so that you could win people to me. In essence, that's what the landowner is saying. That's what Jesus is saying to all of us, is don't blow it. Don't blow your currency of time, wasting it on things that you know don't make you happy. If it burns in you to be a baker, what in the world are you doing laying pipe in a ditch? If it burns in you to pick up a paintbrush, what in the world are you doing driving a bus? Well, I got to pay the bills, there's no money in art. There's no money in baking. How am I supposed to make a living, Lord? I got to pay the kids, pay the bills. I got to get the kids the latest shoes and clothes, and got to give them the best stuff. I got stuff going on here, Lord. I got to make a way here where there seems to be no way out of my own strength. You know the deal. It's tough out here. It's rough in America. We have to work 2 and 3 jobs. Lord, I love you. Yeah. Man, we make excuses, don't we? So, what's the idea behind the whole parable of the talents that really stands out for me? Well, one of those is according to their own abilities, that part of it. But also another one, right out of the gate, the landowner goes away on a long trip, and it says the one he gave 5,000 to and the one he gave 2,000 to, they went to work immediately, and one translation says, to double the money. So they went to work immediately, being creative, doubling the money that was given to them for their master because they loved him. Not out of duty, not out of obligation, not out of a wrong mindset, because they were totally enamored and in relationship and in love with the landowner and their master, or Jesus in our case. We're in love with him, so we do it out of that and only that, to show who he is, to reveal who he is by being joyful and elated and loving what we're doing on our work, on our job, in our business, in our ministry. Thoroughly enjoying it without any sweat or toil. And so we bring that back to him. And we bring others along with us because we carry that anointing and that ability to walk out such elation doing what we're passionate about. That's what I see in the parable of the talents. Religion tells us something much different, that we have to suffer and 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 suffer until we just can't suffer anymore. Or look in the mirror and say, we're not good enough, we're not good enough, we're not good enough, we're not good enough. We just don't have the capability, we don't have the time, we don't have the money, we don't have the strength or the energy. I'm numb. And that's all I can see in front of me. All these excuses. Well, Jesus looks at our ability. We look at our excuses, he looks at our ability. Excuses, ability. Ability, excuses. And then what does he do? He works with us and works with us and works with us until we align with the right mindset and come into the agreement with ability instead of excuse. Some of us do anyway. So where do we go from here? Well, it's a simple process. Remember, we inquire of the Lord, and we not only ask him, what is it that makes me come alive, Lord? I want to do that. But show me how to take the steps to do it. Nothing happens overnight. Very rarely does it happen overnight. I shouldn't say nothing, but very rarely. It's all through work that's not sweat and toil because you're doing what you love, right? But there is work involved. It's an enjoyment in that work. It takes time. And it takes the steps and the fortitude and the strength and the unction to move out, the bravery, the courage to move out on what we feel that he's prompting us to. And a good way to find that out, an indication, is to ask family, friends, and relatives, those that are closest to you, what do you think about my gift? What do you think? I'm kind of clouded right now. I can't really seem to hear the Lord. I'm not that sensitive, but what do you think? And then, you take that in light of what they're saying and bring that into your relationship and your prayer time and say, what about this, Lord? Why are they saying this? Why are they saying I'm good at this? Is that something that I'm called to? And why does it seem like it's not work when I put my hand to it? It's just I can do this all day long. And that's a clue as to what you're called to. Okay? And remember, you have to remove every single excuse the minute it comes up. Eradicate it. Make war against it. And then go to the real you and say, well, you know what? This may be a stretch, but man, I'm feeling something inside I've never felt before. This really does make me come alive when I sit and daydream about it. And that's a clue. That's an indication as to where you're headed, where God is drawing you. But he wants us to take steps as he shows us. And according to our own ability. There's things that we can move out on and just do that he's given us a green light on, and there's other things that he opens doors for so that we don't have to kick them down. And he leads us to God. Why? Because he wants to do it with us. A relationship and oneness with us. He doesn't want us to just do it alone. So anyhow, there's some thoughts, and I've got to run, but we'll pick this up again. Have a great day. Sorry to cut it short, but I've got to run.